Hello everyone, Lorenzo here. My goal in this video is to teach you everything you need to know about armor in Arena Breakout Infinite, and to do it in a way not that looks super in-depth into numbers and statistics and stuff like this, but that actually just gives you an overview of information, important information about armor that you can take away and that you can then use yourself to assess, depending on whatever situation you're in, the type of armor that you should be using. One of the things that we're going to be looking at is something that is not often discussed in these types of videos, and that's materials, armor materials. What you see right here is a breakdown of all the materials and what they are actually good for, and what are the armors that use those types of materials and how those types of materials behave. I'll show you guys this in a second, and I'll also make this a downloadable resource on my Discords. If you find this video enjoyable, useful, informative, whatever, make sure you like and subscribe. Alright, so armor in Arena Breakout Infinite. If you want to get yourself some armor, which is a must for survivability in the game, first thing you're gonna do is go to the market. You go to equipment, and well, there's different types of armor that you can buy, right? You can buy helmets to protect your head, you can buy masks to protect your face, you can buy body armor to protect your body, you can buy armored rigs which protect your body and also gives you inventory space to carry your mags, meds, etc. When you buy armor, there's a few things that you need to look at. Let's take, for example, this TM1 armored rig, and this will always be the same for all types of armors. First of all, here it'll tell you the weight. The weight is important because the more you weigh, the slower you move. This number right here is the durability. So durability is a very important factor when considering armor. It shows you the total HP of the armor. So this armor's got a durability of 40. When you get shot and your armor absorbs damage, the thing absorbing the damage is the durability. So if I go into a raid, for example, and I get shot 2 times by somebody, this durability when I come out may be like 25 out of 40, for example. When durability reaches 0 out of 40, the armor is no longer functional. It's like you're not wearing anything. Bullets will go right through it. So what do you do when the durability of your armor goes down? You have to repair your armor. So repairing your armor, and I will show you how to do that right now. So what you do is you right click on the armor, you hit repair, you pick one of the traders. I always go for Randall because it's a high repair. That means he will do the best job at repairing it. And that's the basic concept of durability. Armor class, in this case, this is a level 4 armor. That means that it will stop tier 4 bullets. And of course, there's always an RNG chance that tier 4 bullets will penetrate the armor, even though this armor is supposed to stop tier 4 bullets. Higher level bullets, so tier 5 or tier 6 bullets, should penetrate the armor, but again, there's an RNG chance that they will be absorbed by the armor. That is, however, not, let's say, the standard. So obviously, the higher the armor class, the more likely you are to absorb the hit of more types of bullets, including higher grade bullets. Of course, the higher the armor class, the higher the cost. Movement speed. Well, so armor is heavy, it's clunky. Some armor covers also, for example, your abdomen, your arms. So imagine trying to move around with like a heavy armor. It's gonna make you move slower, obviously. In this case, TM1 armored rig, it's -5%. But for example, if you look at the Spartan C heavy armored rig, it's 18% because, first of all, it's a super heavy armor, 14 kilos, made of hardened steel. Again, we'll look into materials a little bit later. And it covers chest, shoulders, upper abdomen, and lower abdomen, which means that you're gonna get -18% movement speed with this thing. So, as you can see, the heavier the armor and the more body parts it covers, the more movement speed penalty you get out of it. Then, back to the TM1. The material, this is made out of titanium. I'm not gonna speak about that for now. We'll look into that in a moment. Ergonomics, so again, when you're wearing armor, handling your weapon will be more difficult if you're wearing, for example, really heavy, really clunky sort of armor. So the ergonomics is basically the speed at which you're gonna be able to raise your gun and aim down sights. Armors in general do give you an ergonomic penalty, some more than others. This one, for example, gives you -2 ergonomics. Again, for example, if we take the Spartan C Heavy as an example, it's a big bulky thing and it gives you -10 ergonomics, which means it's gonna take more time for you to raise your gun and shoot if you're wearing this armor. Protected area speaks for itself. Those are the parts of your body that the armor protects. So obviously, the more, the better, but also the more, the slower you will be and the more ergonomics penalty you will have. Here you can see the price of the armor. And one very easy trick to actually get cheaper armor from the market is to click on like new here. By doing this, you get armor that have slightly worn out durability. So for example, if you look at new, this one is 40 out of 40 and it's 61k. But if I go like new, it's 34 out of 40, but then it's also 10k cheaper. If you go worn, it's 28 out of 40. And then it's 48k. The sweet spot anyway is like new. That's where you get the best bang for your buck. And you know, especially on expensive armor, for example, taking again the Spartan C Heavy as an example, like new is 490. If you go to new, is 590. So you're saving 100k and it only has 15 less durability, which in the greater scheme of things is not a huge deal. So that's what you need to do. You need to buy like new armor. When we look at helmets, things work pretty much in the exact same way, but there's a couple more stats to take into consideration. Let's take, for example, the IND tactical helmet, which is a very common helmet that a lot of people use. Two things that you need to look at here on top of the other stats we just talked about: sound blocking. Obviously, wearing a helmet, if it covers your ears, there's a chance that it will impair your hearing. In this case, this helmet doesn't cover your ears, so sound blocking, there's none. But take, for example, the DOD9 Blast helmet. As you can see, this thing is an integral helmet that covers your entire head, and so it covers your ears. And because it does that, and it's a thick, heavy tier 6 helmet, sound blocking is severe, which means that when you wear this thing, yeah, sure, your head is very well protected, but you're not going to be able to hear much around you, which is a huge penalty in this game where sound cues are extremely important. Another thing to take into consideration is the ricochet chance. So for example, again, looking again at DOD9 Blast helmet, ricochet chance is high. This means that there is a high chance that if you get shot in the head, that the bullet will bounce off the helmet. This is total RNG, so it may or may not happen. Most of the times it doesn't happen, but of course, randomly at times it does happen that a bullet bounces off your head. And by the way, any bullet can bounce off any helmet. So you can be shooting, like for example, this helmet right here, the retro steel helmet. This thing is a tier 2 helmet. It's super cheap, only 10k, but it has a high ricochet chance. So you often see people running this helmet and tier 6 bullets just bouncing off of it. Another thing that you consider, of course, when you buy head armor and like helmets is the type of attachments that you can put on the helmet, because they're not all the same. For example, the F80 tactical helmet, as you can see, it only has a slot for a tactical equipment piece. So you can equip it with the T7 thermal imager, which means that you can put a thermal visor on it, but you cannot put a face shield on it. So be careful if you buy this helmet trying to put like a face shield or trying to use a face shield with it, because you can't do that. You always need to check. If we go back to the IND tactical helmet, here you can put a mask on it as well as a T7 thermal imager. So with this helmet you can wear a DK5 bulletproof mask or a DK6 ballistic mask. However, once again, be careful, because the DK5 is a tier 2 bulletproof mask and the DK6 is a tier 3 bulletproof mask. But if you want to use a tier 4 bulletproof mask, then you even have to look at other helmets, for example, like the KSS2, where you can use the DK8 military bulletproof mask as well, which gives you even more protection compared to the DK6 and the DK5. So again, if you want to use helmets that give you higher level of face protection, like with an attachable face mask, they don't all have that. They don't all have that. So you need to be careful. Again, based on the face mask that you want to use, you're gonna have to select different types of helmets. They cannot all have the same types of face masks on. And then there are some helmets that have integrated face masks and even integrated headset, like the helicopter helmet. Helicopter helmet gives you like there's an integrated headset, even though, as you can see, the sound pickup is bad, so it's not considered to be a good headset. And it even has a face shield, so it has a level 4 integrated face shield. But turns out the sound pickup is bad, that you still have a bit of a penalty with like the sound. And also it has low ricochet chance, so a lower chance of bullets bouncing off your head randomly. So yeah, as you can see, always a trade-off, always a trade-off. So you always have to be careful when you buy something. Ask yourself, by wearing this piece of armor, what is it that I am giving up on? And this is where we go into materials. And alright everyone, what you see right now is a breakdown of all the armor materials on Arena Breakout Infinite and an assessment of the performance of each one of those materials based on 4 variables: durability, weight, protection, and repairability. Durability is the total HP of a piece of armor. The higher the durability, the more that armor can absorb damage over time. And when we look at durability here, we also look at how much does durability wear as the armor gets hit. The next variable is weight. This is self-explanatory. It's the weight of the material, so obviously certain armors made with certain materials will weigh more than others. The next variable, protection, looks at how good the armor is at actually stopping a bullet. Certain materials are easier to penetrate than others, even by bullets that are the same tier as the type of armor. And finally, repairability. When you repair a piece of armor, you actually have to pay. Certain materials cost more to repair than others. And also, certain materials don't repair as well as others. And so, with those 4 variables explained, let's look at the materials. The first is aramid. Aramid armor tends to be lightweight. Protection is not great. In fact, as you can see, you have no aramid armors beyond tier 4. Famously, the Spartan B body armor, which can often be found on boss guards, as well as the helicopter helmet that we looked at before, which, remember, the helicopter helmet has low ricochet chance? Once again, it's because of the not great protection properties of aramid. And repairability is good, so this aramid armor is cheap to repair. Next, we have polyethylene. So this is a very, very good material, but it's actually only used in the AS200 heavy tactical helmet and the famous motorbike helmet, the IND70. There's a reason why these 2 helmets cost a lot, especially the IND70, and it's because they offer absolutely brilliant protection and they're made out of polyethylene. There are no other tier 4 or tier 5 armors or tier 6 armors made out of polyethylene. Next material is composite. Composite is actually an absolutely great material. It's a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. It's got moderate durability, moderate weight, moderate protection, and actually, once again, good repairability. Even if you buy an expensive composite piece, you can rest assured that after you use it, if it gets some hits, if the durability goes down and you want to repair it, it's gonna be cheap to repair, and the traders will repair it to a very good total durability level. So the investment with composite, it's mostly upfront. It's not expensive to upkeep. Of course, again, it's a bit of a trade-off because there is better durability to be found. There is better protection to be found as well. So when you take out composite, keep in mind that yes, you have a great piece in your hands and you will be moderately well protected, but you're not gonna be a tank. Speaking of better protection, Titanium has actually a very, very good protection level, so not a lot of things will go through titanium if we're talking same level bullet on same level armor type, and sometimes even absorbing bullet tiers that are higher than the tier of the armor that you're wearing. For example, a tier 6 bullet on a BT6 heavy body armor, it can be absorbed because protection level is high. Same thing with TM1 armored rig, tier 4. I've seen it absorb tier 5 bullets and do pretty well. There's actually not a lot of armors, as you can see, in this in this material. Only very few. Durability is middle of the road. Weight is middle of the road. Titanium starts being a little bit more heavy than, for example, composite or polyethylene or aramid, but well, it's quite similar to composite, I would say, but yeah, we're starting to get a little bit heavier here. Protection is good, very good, but here is where repairability is not as good. Repairing titanium is more expensive. Next is aluminum. Aluminum is a very, very interesting material. Once again, quite popular, and the durability of aluminum is pretty bad. Not so much the total durability, because the total durability of aluminum in general is pretty good. For example, the IMTVs in tier 5 or the BT201 in tier 6 actually have a pretty high overall durability, but it tends to drop off pretty quickly, for example, compared to titanium, compared to composite, compared to some other materials that we have here that we're about to talk about. It tends to drop off relatively quickly compared to other materials. Of course, where aluminum excels is weight, although it's actually, there are some composite and some titanium armors which are actually just as heavy as aluminum armors, but then sometimes with aluminum you get less weight for the amount of cover that you get. Protection, this kind of goes hand in hand with durability. Once again, aluminum is worst in class. It's the type of armor that is more likely to get penetrated by various types of bullets. This is why perhaps aluminum armors tend to do better when you're fighting at long range, for example, if you're sniping. And finally, repairability. Aluminum is kind of in the middle of the road when it comes to how good it is to repair, both in terms of price and both in terms of getting it back to its original state. Hardened steel is the tank material in Arena Breakout Infinite. It's got best-in-class durability, best-in-class protection. That means that not a lot of bullets will penetrate. Hardened steel armors are going to soak up bullets. However, the obvious trade-off is weight. Hardened steel is gonna make you slow, it's gonna make you clumsy, it's gonna affect your ergonomics, it's going to affect your movement speed. So this is something to really take into account, obviously, depending on how you're going to play in the raid. Repairability is also not great with the hardened steel. It's expensive, relatively expensive compared to other materials to repair hardened steel, and also when you do repair it, it tends to have a pretty big total durability drop-off. The final material is ceramic. Ceramic, I think, is a bit of a controversial material. As you can see, ceramic compared to other materials, it really tends to be used mostly in higher tier armor, so especially at tier 5 and tier 6. We don't really have any tier 4 ceramic. So durability is great, protection is great, but once again, it's heavy, not as heavy as hardened steel, but relatively heavy. And as you can see, it's the worst in class for repairability. It's the most expensive material to repair, and when you do repair it, the drop-off on total durability is super high. So ceramic is expensive up front and it's expensive to maintain. And so that's pretty much the breakdown of the various types of materials that you have. So the question is, which one is better? Well, to answer that question, I would say it depends. It depends on what you want to do. If you want a hybrid of like mobility, protection, durability, not being too expensive to use, then things like composite and titanium could be a very good choice. If you want more mobility, if you're playing at range, aluminum could be a good choice. And if you want to be an absolute tank or juggernaut, then you're maybe fighting against people in close areas, like inside TV station or inside the resort in Northridge, then hardened steel and ceramic could be a good choice. But then again, then consider the fact that your ADS speed and also your movement speed is going to be affected by the heavy weight of these two materials. So that's also something to take into account. If you want this infographic, you can download it from my Discord. The link to my Discord is in the description. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I really hope that you found this video useful and that you learned something. If you did, please consider liking, consider subscribing. Let me know what your favorite piece of armor is in the game, down in the comments. If you're looking for people to play Arena Breakout Infinite with, or if you want to know when I upload, when I stream, or if you want to learn more about the game, join my Discord. And without further ado, guys, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.